Hello students, my name is Nirbhay Jadhav and I am here to teach you physics. In this lecture is for the 8th standard, and in this lecture we are going to start with the first chapter, that is the matter. So in this chapter we are specifically going to focus on the two topics, that is elements and the molecules, and the second topic is kinetic theory of matter. So let us begin. So our first topic is, say, as the chapter says, is matter. Already we have studied this chapter in class 6, that what is matter. Matter is say any material that occupies space and has a mass. That is what you have studied in the previous class. Okay, so basically whether the it's a living or a non-living thing. Okay, everything has a one thing in common, that they are made up of matter. So you can see this picture on the screen, say the man and a dog. So both are living but have this one thing in common, that they are made up of matter. Whether it is a non-living, say chalk, duster or furniture in your house, still they have a one thing in common, that they are made up of matter. So everything, whether it is a living or a non-living, has a one thing in common, that they are made up of matter. And what is the definition of matter? That any material that occupies space and has mass. So occupies space and has mass, that is the two property of matter. This is what we have studied in your previous class, so we are not going that much in detail. Now we'll start with the first topic, that is the elements and molecules. So let us start. So what is actually matter made up of? Matter is made up of molecules. Now what is molecules? So say molecule is the smallest unit of matter. When these small units of molecules combines, they forms a matter, and they can independent exist. Remember, if you are talking about the atoms, now atom, they cannot exist independently, while the molecules are the combination of the atoms and they can exist independently. And if you know the property of the molecule, say physical or chemical property of the particular molecule, then you can say that you know the physical and chemical property of matter. Because generally what is matter? It is just combination of the molecules, number of molecules. When the number of molecules combine, they form a matter. Okay, so if already you know the physical and chemical property of the molecules, so you can say that you know the physical and chemical property of matter as well. Okay, now in these molecules also we have a two case. First is the oxygen, that is known as O2. So how oxygen is made up of? Oxygen is made up of combination of two atoms of oxygen element. Remember what I am saying here, how oxygen is made up of? It is made up of two atoms of oxygen element. While in this case, say water, that is H2O, it means here three atoms are there, that two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. So here two different elements, two different kind of atoms are participating, that is a two atoms of hydrogen element and one atom of oxygen element. So we can say that H2O is a molecule of compound. Why compound? Because two or say more than two atoms are participating. While in the other case, on the left hand side, that is the oxygen, here only the same kind of element, say atom of the same element are participating. Okay, so we can say that molecule of elements. So that is the basic difference between these two. Both are molecules, but the difference is oxygen is made up of the atoms of same element, while the water is made up of the atoms of two different elements, that is a hydrogen and oxygen. So let us move further. Say what is element? So element is the simplest form of pure substance. When I say the simplest form of a pure substance, it means, say it's the last stage. When you break something smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, you will end up to the say small, say simplest form. So that is what element is. So now you cannot further divide it into more simpler form. So that is what element. Whether you use a physical or a chemical method to break down, again you will get the same thing, that is a element. Now how element is made up of? Element is made up of the combination of atoms. So we can say the smallest, what is atom? That is the smallest unit of element. When these atoms combines, say atom of only one kind, when the atoms of one kind combines, they form a element, and that element is a pure substance, right? It is not like different kind of atoms are combining, only one kind of atoms combines, then it form a element, that is a pure substance. And just like molecule, atom cannot exist independently, or we can say it may or may not exist independently, but it will always take part in chemical reaction. So this is the how the flows goes on. The atoms combine and forms an element, where the atoms of elements take part to form a molecules, and when the molecules combines, they form a matter. Okay, I hope we are clear with this topic. Now let us quickly move to the next topic, that is a kinetic theory of matter. This theory is about say 200 years old theory. This is, so total 7 points are there. We are going to discuss these 7 points one by one. So that is the first point. Matter is made up of small particles called molecules. This is already we studied, right? That when the molecules combine, they forms a matter. Second point is molecules of a given substance are alike in all respect. So when we are talking about that molecules are alike, it means we are talking about only a particular substance. When we take any substance, say ice, okay, ice is made up of what? H2O molecules. So take any H2O molecules, compare, you will find that both these molecules are alike. It means they have a same property, they will have a say same composition. Okay, so that is the second point. Third point, molecules of a different substance. In the previous point what we have discussed, that molecules of a given substance. Now we are discussing about a different substance. When we take a two different substance, and if we compare the molecule of that two different substance, obviously they are going to have a different property, different color, different size, shape, composition as well. Okay, so that is the third property of kinetic. It is the third point of kinetic theory of matter. So let us quickly move to the next one. Molecules of a given substance are constant in motion and is different for different state of matter. So what does this point says? Say look at this figure. There are total 3 states are there in front of us, that is solid, liquid and gas. In all 3 cases there is a motion of the molecules, right? But this motion of the molecules are totally different in all the 3 cases. If we say the solid, the movement is there, the motion is there, but it is very less, while in the liquid it is comparatively more than solid. And if we go to the last one, that is a gas, the motion of the molecule is the highest. Okay, so that is the fourth point. Fifth point, molecules of a given substance have a space between them called intermolecular space. Now what is intermolecular space? Intermolecular space means, suppose we are having the say one molecule and say the other molecule. Now the distance between these two molecules, that is known as the intermolecular space. The space between two molecules is known as the intermolecular space. Okay, so let us quickly move to the next point. All molecules attract each other with a force called intermolecular force. Now what is intermolecular force? Say this is the first molecule and this is the second molecule. Now the first molecule will try to attract the second molecule, will exert a force on the second molecule, while the second molecule will also try to exert a force on the first molecules. So that is known as a intermolecular force. When a one molecule try to attract the other molecule, okay, so the force between these two molecules is known as the intermolecular force. Now this intermolecular force depends on two things. First, that is the intermolecular space between them. How we'll look at that? Say here we are having a two molecules. Now these molecules are very close to each other. It means, can we say that intermolecular space is very less? If the intermolecular space is very less, it means intermolecular force will be maximum. While look at this other case. In this, two molecules are there, but they are far apart from each other. Now the distance between them is maximum. So say intermolecular space is maximum. So in this case, when the intermolecular space is maximum, the intermolecular force will be weak. Okay. So that is the first case on which intermolecular force depend. That is the intermolecular space between them. If the space is less, intermolecular force is maximum, and the space is more, intermolecular force is minimum. And on the second case, what it depends on, that is the nature of molecule. Now say if the two molecules are there and both the molecules are of same nature, then the force will be called, say, cohesive force. And if the two molecules both are of different nature, then we can say that it exerts a force of adhesion or adhesive force. Look at this picture. Now these molecules, which can you see on the center, these molecules are almost same. They are similar kind of molecules. So the force between them will be of cohesive type force. While this portion, this surface as well as the molecules of this, now both are of different nature, so they will have a force of adhesion or say adhesive force. Okay, I hope you got this. Now the next and the final point of the kinetic theory of matter is, say, the kinetic energy of the molecules increases with the increase in temperature and decreases with the decrease in temperature. So let us understand with the help of this figure. Now look at this diagram. Initially, from the left hand side, if I start, look at the temperature. It is almost, say, 5 degrees Celsius, and the movement of the molecules is, say, very less, or say kinetic energy of the molecules is less. And if I increase the temperature from 5 degrees Celsius to 20 degrees Celsius, now look at the movement of these molecules. The movement of the molecules is comparatively large than the previous case. Okay, it means the kinetic energy of these molecules have been increased because of the increase in temperature. Now look at this last case. From 20 degree, now it is almost reached to the 40 degrees Celsius. Now look at the movement of these molecules. They are moving, or say having a more movement, or say having a more kinetic energy comparative to both this case. Okay, so can we say from this that as we go on increasing the temperature, the motion in the particle will be increased, or say kinetic energy of the molecules or particles will go on increasing. And in the reverse order, say if we go on decreasing the temperature, the kinetic energy will go on decreasing. So I hope you have understood this lecture and you don't have any query. If you have any query, you can just comment it down, and thanks for watching this video.